The captain sneered, handing me his broken rifle. "Here, secretary. Try not to shoot yourself." He had no idea he'd just armed the deadliest ghost on the battlefield, and our entire base had seconds left to live. The sky over Zabul province was the color of rust and fury. At 1,400 hours, the first RPG turned the afternoon comm at forward operating base Sentinel into a nightmare of shrieking metal and concussive blasts. Inside the command center, a sandbag bunker built into the ruins of an old Soviet watchtower, Anya Petrova didn't flinch. While others scrambled for cover, her storm-gray eyes remained fixed on the digital map, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she logged enemy contact points. For 6 months, Anya was a ghost of a different kind. The quiet administrative specialist who typed faster than anyone, who kept the coffee pot full, and whose past was a closed book. To Captain Leo Vance, she was dead weight. "Petrova, get your head out of the paperwork and make yourself useful," Vance bellowed, his face already flushed with a mix of adrenaline and arrogance. He was built like a recruiting poster, all jawline and muscle, and he saw the world in simple terms: warriors and support. Anya, to him, was firmly in the latter. "Regulations say we need a glorified secretary. So here we are," he'd grumbled at that morning's briefing. The air, thick with the smell of dust and cordite, vibrated with the distinct, rhythmic crackle of a Dragunov sniper rifle. It was a sound lost in the cacophony to everyone but Anya. She tilted her head, her mind a silent, lightning-fast calculator. The delay between the crack of the shot and the thump of its impact. 800 meters, she thought. Northeast ridge, behind that cluster of wind-eaten red rocks. Private T.J. Jackson, a kid barely 20 with wide, terrified eyes, was crouched near her, clutching his rifle like a holy relic. "What was that?" he stammered. "Sniper," Anya said, her voice a low, steady murmur that cut through the chaos. "Northeast ridge, 800 meters out. Tell Captain Vance he needs to shift second squad 10 meters to their left, or they're in a kill zone." TJ blinked, confusion warring with fear. "How could you possibly?" "Just tell him," she repeated, her gaze unyielding. The young private scrambled over to Vance, who was screaming into his radio for air support that wasn't coming. Anya watched the exchange. She saw Vance's irritation, the dismissive wave of his hand, the sneer that said a secretary's opinion was worth less than the dirt on his boots. He never listened to those he deemed beneath him. The Dragunov cracked again. A soldier from 2nd Squad spun, a dark flower of red blooming on his chest. Vance's head whipped around, his eyes locking on Anya. For the first time, a flicker of something other than contempt crossed his face. Confusion. The confirmation of her warning didn't bring Anya any satisfaction, only a cold, familiar ache. Vance's arrogance had just cost a man his life. The captain's face contorted, shame and fury twisting his features into an ugly mask. Instead of acknowledging his mistake, he deflected his rage. "Petrova, supply depot, more magazines. Now," he roared, pointing a trembling finger toward the most exposed part of the base. It wasn't a tactical order. It was a punishment, a way to banish the woman whose quiet observation had just exposed his incompetence. Anya moved without a word. As she sprinted across the open ground, mortar rounds walked a path of destruction perilously close. Inside the cramped, stuffy supply depot, her movements shifted. The quiet secretary vanished, replaced by a professional operating on pure muscle memory. She didn't just grab magazines. Her hands, deft and sure, packed them into a tactical vest, each one placed for immediate, intuitive access. From a locked case, she retrieved items far beyond standard issue. Military-grade hemostatic gauze infused with kaolin, a combat tourniquet system with a windlass mechanism designed for arterial bleeds. This was the gear of a Tier 1 operator, not an admin clerk. They're inside the wire. "Tower 4 is down," a panicked voice screamed over the radio network. The breach. The final line of defense had been broken. Grabbing 2 additional rifles from the rack, She checked their actions with a practiced efficiency that was both beautiful and terrifying. By the time she returned to the crumbling defensive line, FOB Sentinel was a vision of hell. Taliban fighters poured through the breach in the eastern wall. Bodies, American and enemy, littered the ground. Vance saw her emerge from the swirling dust, his eyes wild. "Where the hell are those magazines, Petrova?" he yelled. Then he saw the rifles slung across her back. "What do you think you're doing? You're qualified on Microsoft Word, not M4S." An RPG screamed overhead, impacting the communications array in a shower of sparks. In the momentary silence that followed, Vance's frustration boiled over. He unslung his personal M4, the one he'd been complaining about for a week. A spent casing was visibly wedged in the ejection port, a classic stovepipe jam. He thrust the useless weapon at Anya, his lips curled in a vicious sneer. "You want to play soldier? Here," he spat, his voice dripping with venom. "Try not to shoot yourself, princess." Anya took the broken rifle. Her hands moved with a speed that defied belief. In a blur of motion that T.J. Jackson would replay in his mind for years, she dropped the magazine, locked the bolt to the rear, and cleared the stovepipe jam. She slammed the bolt home, seated a new magazine, and charged the weapon. The entire sequence, a complex immediate action drill, took less than 8 seconds. It was a violent, fluid ballet of steel and practiced flesh. "How did you?" TJ began, his jaw hanging open. But Anya was already moving, flowing from one piece of shattered cover to the next with an economy of motion that screamed of countless hours in combat zones. The ill-fitting uniform that had always made her look small now seemed irrelevant. She settled behind a demolished concrete barrier, the broken M4 feeling like an extension of her own body. Her eyes scanned the battlefield, filtering the chaos into cold, hard data. And then she saw him. Southwest Ridge, 800 meters away. A figure standing slightly apart from the others, flanked by 2 RPG gunners, gesturing with the unmistakable authority of a field commander. He was directing the mortar teams, orchestrating the final push. "I have eyes on their commander," she said, her voice so calm it was chilling. Southwest Ridge. Approximate. 800 meters. Vance, who had followed her, stared in disbelief. "That's impossible. You can't see a damn thing through this smoke." "Radio antenna on his back," Anya stated, as if reading from a report. "In 30 seconds, he's going to shift mortar fire onto the command post." As if on cue, the thumping of the enemy mortars changed rhythm. 30 seconds later, a round impacted near the command bunker, showering them with debris. Vance looked at her, his face a mask of shock and dawning fear. Anya didn't acknowledge him. She was in the zone, a place of pure calculation. Wind speed, distance, elevation, the known deficiencies of the damaged rifle. It all flowed through her mind. "Hayes, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Vance charged over, his rage returning. "You'll waste ammo and give away our..." "Captain!" Anya's voice cut through his tirade like a shard of ice. "Either help, or get out of my way." Her storm gray eyes, now cold and flat, met his. He saw something in them that made him recoil, an ancient, lethal certainty. As her vest shifted, TJ gasped. On her right shoulder, visible through a tear in her uniform, was a pale, web-like scar, the kind of mark left by a rifle stock pressed into the same spot thousands upon thousands of times. Her breathing slowed, falling into a practiced rhythm. Between one heartbeat and the next, she found the perfect moment of stillness. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Click! The rifle jammed again. A dead trigger. The commander was already turning to move. The window was closing. Without thought, Anya's hands executed a tap-rack bang drill with a brutal precision that slammed the bolt forward. She was back on target before Vance could even curse. Time stretched. The M4 bucked against her shoulder. 800 meters away, the enemy commander's head vanished in a pink mist that hung in the air for a single, gruesome moment before being swept away by the wind. For 3 seconds, the battle raged on. Then, a wave of confusion rippled through the enemy ranks. Panic chatter erupted over their radios. The disciplined assault dissolved into a chaotic, leaderless retreat. The tide had turned. "Holy Mother," TJ whispered, staring at Anya as if she were a god. Vance's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. His entire world had just been dismantled by one impossible shot from a woman he'd called deadweight. "All stations, what was that? Who made that shot?" Colonel Eva Rostova's voice, sharp and urgent, crackled over the command net. "I need a name." Before a stunned Vance could answer, a new sound tore through the sky. Not the familiar whine of medevac helicopters, but the aggressive, deep-throated whomp-whomp-whomp of two UH-60 Blackhawks, painted matte black, devoid of any markings. They flew with a predatory grace, door gunners already suppressing the last pockets of resistance on the ridge. Anya watched them approach, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. She knew these birds. Ropes dropped before the helicopters had even stabilized. A dozen operators in black kits fast-roped to the ground, moving with a terrifying purpose that made the regular infantry look like they were standing still. No patches, no flags. Anonymous, lethal, and efficient. Delta Force. Their team leader, a master sergeant with salt and pepper hair, froze when he saw Anya. His eyes widened behind his ballistic glasses in a look of sheer, unadulterated shock. But before he could speak, a third helicopter, a command bird bristling with antennas, landed near the ops center. The man who stepped out was Major General Julian Cole, the commander of JSOC, the kind of four-star phantom who didn't visit FOBs. He erased them from maps or turned them into legends. His boots crunched on spent casings as he strode through the carnage, his eyes locked on one person. He stopped directly in front of Anya. The cavalry hadn't come for FOB Sentinel. They had come for her. "Master Sergeant Petrova," General Cole said, his voice quiet but carrying the weight of absolute authority. The rank made Vance's head snap around. "Or should I still call you Echo?" Anya's carefully constructed facade, maintained for 3 long years, finally shattered. The name, her old call sign, hit her like a physical blow. "Sir, I'm just admin support now. My contract." "Your contract was voided the moment you chose to engage the enemy," Cole interrupted, his gaze unwavering. He held up a tablet, displaying a classified file. "Operation Crimson Sand, Helmand Province. 3 years ago, you and your spotter, call sign Finn, held off over 200 enemy fighters for 16 hours to protect a down SEAL team. When your position was overrun, you engaged in hand-to-hand combat until a QRF arrived. Finn was Kia. You were listed as Kia. Vance looked like he was going to be sick. The story was a legend in the Spec Ops community, a ghost story about 2 operators against impossible odds. He had just handed a broken rifle to a legend. I called you deadweight," he stammered, his face ashen. "I am so sorry." The official report was a necessary fiction, Cole continued, his attention still fixed on Anya. "Imagine my surprise when a Pentagon AI flagged a routine marksmanship qualification from a nobody admin sergeant at Fort Bragg. The ballistic signature was a 1 in a billion match for Echoes. Then this afternoon, I get a flash message that someone at this FOB just made an 800-meter shot with a damaged M4 to save the entire garrison." He gave a cold, thin smile. "Coincidences like that don't exist in my world, Sergeant." "I requested the discharge, sir," Anya said, her voice tight. "After Crimson Sand, after losing Finn, I couldn't be Echo anymore. I just wanted to serve quietly. And yet, here we are." Cole gestured to the battlefield. "The man you just killed was not some random Taliban commander. Signals Intelligence confirms he was part of the same network that orchestrated the Crimson Sand ambush. The network that knew exactly where you and Finn would be." The blood drained from Anya's face. "This attack wasn't random, Anya," the general said softly. "It was bait. Someone wanted to see if the ghost was still breathing. And now, thanks to you, they know." General Cole handed her a thin folder marked with classification stamps that made Colonel Rostova take a step back. The cover read, "Operation Silent Storm. We've been hunting the architect of Crimson Sand for 3 years," Cole said, his voice turning to granite. "A man named Khaled al-Rashidi. former ISI, trained at Fort Benning. He knows our playbook because he helped write it. He's the man who killed Finn. The name landed like a hammer blow. For 3 years, Anya had carried Finn's dog tags, a cold, constant reminder of her failure to save him. Now, that failure had a name. A target. When do we launch? The question was out of her mouth before she could think, the words spoken not by Anya the secretary, but by Echo the sniper. A ghost of a smile touched Cole's lips. That's the operator I remember. Welcome back to the war, Master Sergeant. As she walked toward the waiting Black Hawk, the soldiers of FOB Sentinel parted for her, their faces a mixture of awe and reverence. Vance stood frozen, a man broken by a truth too large for him to comprehend. Warriors don't advertise, Captain, Anya said quietly as she passed him. They just serve. On board the helicopter, the Delta Master Sergeant who had recognized her handed her a new set of dog tags. Her real ones. The metal was cold against her skin, a familiar weight. As the Black Hawk lifted off, banking hard into the dying sun, Anya looked down at the ridge line where she had made the shot. 3 years of hiding, shattered by one pull of the trigger. 3 years of peace, ended by one perfect, impossible shot. She wasn't running from the past anymore. She was flying toward it, ready to hunt the men who had made her a ghost. The folder on her lap felt heavy with purpose. Warriors don't retire. They just wait. And the waiting was over. This story is a powerful reminder that heroes are often hidden in plain sight, their greatest strengths concealed until the moment they're needed most. What did you think of Anya's transformation from a quiet secretary back into the lethal operator she truly is? Have you ever had to reveal a hidden skill to save the day, or witness someone else do the same? Let us know in the comments below. Comment respect for all the silent warriors out there. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more that matter.